following show contains adult content. It's not our intent to offend anyone, but we want to inform you that if you are a child under the age of 18 or get offended easily, this next show may not be for you. The content, opinions, and subject matter of these shows are solely the choice of your show hosts and their guests, and not those of the Entertainment Network or any affiliated stations. Any comments or inquiries should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening.
To the Adventure and Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
Wake up, America! It's time for the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY.com, West Palm Beach's #1 internet radio station. Here's your host, the Pipeman.
Yo! I am back from the UK and Orlando and Milwaukee and Daytona and everything on the Pipeman Radio Tour. And here I am, the wandering Jew that is back in Florida. I'm not wandering right now, but I have a very special guest for a show today. And I am so excited because I think it was like 18 years ago was the last time he was on this show. And that's why I'm wearing the sunglasses, too, because then he can't tell that I'm 18 years older. But let's welcome to the show my friend and an amazing person and human being, Dave Aronberg. How are you?
Hi, man. It's great to be back with you, brother. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. And, it's interesting while I was watching my own intro. First of all, you heard a familiar voice there. That was Chad, who's no longer with us. I don't know if you know that. If you remember our engineer, Chad, who played around town too, Chad Nether. He's no longer with us. And then my grandson's in that too. But then I saw the guitar part. I'm wondering if that was Dave when he was on my show last time, because he played guitar on the show when you were actually running for election.
Right.
Then.
That was
now.
Go. Yeah.
Now you've been elected multiple times, and now you're back in our Palm Beach County, I would say, private sector, and doing great things. And
thank you.
It's been a wild ride. So first, let's start there. Tell the listeners a little bit about your wild ride from 18 years ago being on my show to now. And everything that you've accomplished, because you've accomplished some great things. It's amazing.
Well, thank you. And I'm sorry we lost Chad. I hope that his family is doing okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting me know. I started in this business 2002 when I ran for the first time for the state Senate and got elected at the age of 31. I was the youngest state senator. And I was on your show trying to promote my candidacy. I think we played Coldplay. I think we played La Vida. What's the song?
La Vida La Loca.
No, not that. It's always a Coldplay song. It's.
I know. I'm trying to think of what it was.
Gosh, I'm gonna get it. Here, it's.
I think Juan will look it up for us. Juan, look up for a Coldplay song that maybe starts with La Vida. And so,
La
yeah.
Vida, no, it's
no, that would be Ricky Martin.
That's Viva La Vida.
There it is. There it is.
Viva La Vida. Yeah, that's a great song. That's what we played. And I remember well. So I was elected to the state Senate. I was there for 8 years, 3 terms. The first term was 2 years. Then I did 2 4-year terms after that, but left with 2 years remaining to run for Attorney General. And I lost in a primary. It's being in 6 or 7 elections. I think 7 elections. That's the one I lost. And then after the Republican beat the Democrat who beat me, she turned around and hired me as her drug czar. That was the Attorney General named Pam Bondi. And so I was the drug czar for the state of Florida, where I went for the Attorney General's office, where I went after the opioid epidemic. And then from there, I ran for state attorney in Palm Beach County. I became the state attorney and was there for 12 years going after the problems in drug rehabs and sober homes. And so I kept my focus on the opioid epidemic. And then after 12 years, in January of 2025, I decided to go into the private sector. I got married. I'm going to have a child late October. I moved to the suburbs. And so in Palm Beach Gardens. So life is very different than when we first met.
That's right. That's right. And now I just literally in September moved my studios from Wellington over to Palm Beach Gardens because I've lived over this side for a while now when all my kids, like the diaspora, just left the house and just split everywhere. And then I came over to this side. I like this side better. It's a little more sane over here than Wellington was.
Wellington's a great place.
Yeah,
but
it is.
Yes, but I do love gardens, and my wife likes it, most importantly. And the dogs really like it.
Happy wife, happy life.
That's right. You got that right.
Oh my God. And I am so glad. Well, I want to start there that you're a champion for opioids because that's a big peeve of mine. And I don't know if you agree with me or not, but I have said that I feel the whole problem with drugs in our country got so much worse once Nancy Reagan declared the war on drugs. I just feel like I was in high school in that time, and that's when they invented crack and meth, and then you started going to opiates. And I think all these really killer drugs have been going on since that time, and it's worse than ever now, unfortunately.
Well, I was focused on trying to stop the proliferation of all these pill mills, these places that were relatively unregulated, where people got high under the auspices of a so-called doctor's care, but that was ridiculous. And it wasn't. It was drug dealers wearing white coats, and people would use, abuse, and die. And they would come down on the Oxycontin Express down here from West Virginia and all parts of the country, and it was just awful. It was a tough time as the government turned the other way, but we were able to shut it down. And then as state attorney, I focused on the rehabs that were engaged in corruption, fraud, and abuse. And we worked to shut them down and to chase the bad sober home owners out of our community so that we will once again have the best, most ethical drug treatment industry anywhere right here in Palm Beach County.
Yeah. And you have definitely done a lot of cleaning up. As somebody that's been in the South Florida area a long time, yeah, I remember all those pill mills and all the stuff that was going on, and I don't hear as much about it anymore here in South Florida.
That's why, because of the work we did.
Yeah, exactly.
And, that's it. I mean, that's why, because we were able to focus on this, and we're the only county in the country that did. And so it really turned out to be the most worthwhile thing I think I've done as a state attorney, because it had a direct impact on saving lives. And I just wish that other communities around the country would follow our lead. I even wrote a book about it. It's right here behind me here, called Fighting the Florida Shuffle. And you can get it on Amazon or anywhere. It talks about our fight to clean up the drug treatment industry here in Palm Beach County, how we succeeded, and what families need to know as they choose a rehab for their loved one.
Absolutely, because there are other parts of the country that I know firsthand from people I know that have OD'd, and that they need the same kind of help you gave us here in Palm Beach County, for sure.
Thank you, brother.
So, what are you doing now? What's the current thing that you are cleaning up in our area?
Well, I am the managing partner of Dave Aronberg Law. This is a boutique litigation firm. We do criminal and civil work. We represent some drug treatment centers who want to stay on the right side of the law, but we do civil and criminal work. I have 4 attorneys, and we even have an immigration practice from one of our attorneys. So, we're rocking and rolling, and I still do TV and streaming. And so it keeps me busy. Plus, about to have my first child later this year. So got a lot going on.
Mazel tov.
Thank you.
And so now you're having this first child come into the world when, I don't know, anti-Semitism. I can't believe I'm actually talking about it now in 2026. But what's your feelings as somebody that's bringing a child into the world of what's going on in the world of anti-Semitism, of even from Jewish people? Like, I've gotten anti-Semitism from other Jews, which kind of blows my mind.
It's awful. I mean, see what's happening. And there's a congressional race in New York where you have one of the they're both Jewish in a very Jewish district, and you have one who sides with the anti-Semites, and you have the other, Dan Goldman, who is the incumbent, who has been harassed and attacked because of his support for Israel and the Israeli people. And it looks like the person who's in bed with open anti-Semites, his opponent's going to win in a largely Jewish district. So there's a rift here. You see that American Jews aren't all supportive of Israel, and some of them even support the people on the far left who are openly anti-Semitic. They haven't gotten the memo that you may not be in their crosshairs yet, but you will be. Anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism, and if you're thinking that you're going to be safe because you denounce your religion or you denounce your homeland, that's not it. You're going to be treated just like everyone else, and it's just, and it never stops with the Jews. They start with the Jews, but it never stops with the Jews. It's about Western civilization, and this is the type of thing that threatens to destroy the Democratic Party, and the Democratic Party needs to get a hold of it. There are a lot of anti-Semites on the far right. I'm not going to leave that out on the Republican side, but the Democratic Party has a real issue with this very aggressive, very passionate far left that is promoting a vision of the world where Israel doesn't exist.
It's wild to me. Many things are wild to me. One of the things wild to me is that people think that Israel's only existed since 1948. That kind of blows my mind. But I think about when I was in college at Rutgers University, and I was very involved in the temple there. And somebody came up to me, and at that point in my time, I was in the financial business. So I did tend to be towards Republican because of the type of business I was in. And he comes up to me and he goes, "How can you be a Republican? You're Jewish." And now I think of how we are here in 2026, and it's like, I think almost people are saying, "How can you be a Democrat? You're Jewish." And it's weird to me. Right?
I'm a Democrat, and you can be, yes. We'll see which way the direction of the party goes. I mean, you have people in the party who are really strong on Israel, on protecting the Jewish people, and the party is still hanging on with those individuals. But will they get displaced by the Manamis of the world who openly call Jewish donors to political campaigns monsters? I mean, is that the vision of the Democratic Party? I don't think so. When they talk about AIPAC, it's so hypocritical. There are so many PACs out there that represent interests that you may or may not agree with. But when you focus on one, that sort of sounds anti-Semitic to me. And that's the one you're focusing on. Americans who believe in a strong American relationship with Israel. That's the one you're going to focus on as the one evil of the monsters. That's it?
Right.
So many others who, for example, the Qatari lobby is so much bigger and larger. They spend so much more money than the pro-Israel lobby. And when it comes to AIPAC, they're Americans. It's Americans. It's not a foreign organization. So it's really, you can criticize Israel all you want. You can criticize Bibi Netanyahu. I do. You can criticize the Israeli government. You can criticize the American government. Does that mean you believe that America shouldn't exist? No, but Israel is somehow held to a double standard by some.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I say all the time that you can not like the Israeli government. That doesn't mean don't like the Israeli people, or anybody that's a descendant. Like, you're going to hate all Jews because you don't like Netanyahu. That's a weird, it's a weird world we're living in where, this political divide that's so deep that people don't even have common sense anymore. Like, I'm not a fan of what Netanyahu does, but I am a fan of Israel and Israelis and Jews no matter what, and that's.
Yeah, I mean, you had a coffee shop in New York who tried to humiliate Dan Goldman, the congressman there. He came in, bought some coffee. was there with his daughter, and then the owner put out a horrific message banning him, giving his money back, calling him a supporter of genocide. It is so ignorant and so hateful, and it just shows you this is what's going on today, and that should never happen. First off, it's not a genocide; it's a war, and there was a genocide attempted genocide on October 7th when Hamas attempted to kill all Jews. But you can criticize the Israeli government and the response in Gaza. You can do that. That's not anti-Semitic. But when you throw around words you don't know the meaning of, and you try to exclude Jews as a reason for it, or here's trying to exclude Dan Goldman from the coffee shop because he is Jewish and he has expressed support for Israel, that's enough to kick him out of the coffee shop. No, that to me is a violation of civil rights laws. And it shows you if this is the way our country is going, then it's a dangerous direction. Instead of talking to each other, you're essentially just demonizing other people. You're hating other people automatically. That's not who we are as Americans. And I hope that the federal government does investigate this coffee shop owner.
Oh, no doubt about it. And it's just like maybe people should experience things before talking about them, because I find that a lot of times these people, I go around and I go do touring of music festivals all over the world to do media coverage. And I see a lot of these uncomfortable moments of chants and stuff like that. And I'll talk to some of these people, and they don't even know where Palestine is.
No, they have no idea.
Okay. They don't even know anything. And they don't realize the people that are the biggest supporters are the ones that would be free to speak their mind, do whatever they want in Israel. But if they did in Palestine, or they did with the regime of Iran, or anybody Hamas, or anybody Hezbollah, they would be tortured and killed and raped and everything else.
Well, they don't even know. I mean, there's no Palestine as people describe it. Yeah, there is Gaza and there's the West Bank, and Gaza was occupied by Israel for years. It was after a war, and Israel was attacked, and Israel was able to secure the territory. And then Israel voluntarily pulled out, gave the Palestinians its own state. You have it. This is yours. And instead, they elected Hamas and turned it into a terrorist state with tunnels and all the money that was given to them to rebuild this place. Instead of building it like Dubai, instead they built it like a terrorist haven where they have tunnels and missiles, and use it to kill more Jews on October 7th than ever been killed before since the Holocaust. And yes, and that's what started the war. And Israel, remember, had pulled out. That's what they got for pulling out. So it's tough to say, all right, Israel, keep pulling out of these territories, and I'm sure you'll get a promise of missiles. I mean, I would hope that there could be a peace deal, and we have a two-state solution. And it's not so easy, because you have to find a partner to do peace with. It's not going to be Hamas. Hamas, by their definition, wants the destruction of Israel and the murder of every Jew. So it won't be Hamas. Could be the Palestinian Authority. Well, they're not Hamas, but they have their own issues with corruption, and they're run by Abu Mazen, who's in his 90s, and they still pay the families of terrorists who kill Jews in Israel. And so it's not ideal. I think that it would be nice to have a new generation of Palestinians who can make peace with Israel, and then we can have a two-state solution. But when you say Palestine, you have to define where is that?
Right.
For some people, it's from the river to the sea, which means there's no Israel. It's just all Palestine. And you have this one Jewish state that's the size of New Jersey, where half the Jews in the entire world live, that was born after the Holocaust as a safe refuge for Jews who have been slaughtered wholesale in a real genocide. And it is the original Jewish homeland. And, for people who think that Jews just got to Israel in 1948, I ask you, you celebrate Christmas, right? I mean, Christmas every year is the birth of a Jewish boy in Bethlehem thousands of years ago.
Right.
So you can't tell me that Jews just got to Israel in 1948.
Exactly. And thing is, so interesting story. My youngest daughter, Rachel, who she just went through right before October 7th, she did Birthright, like that summer, right before. And she was very much a very far left woke person before going to Israel. She went to Israel. She experienced all these things, met all these people. October 7th happened. People she knows became hostages. People that she knows were, at that music festival. Her kibbutz was bombed and everything else. And then she went back to school up in Tallahassee, and not in Tallahassee, up in Pensacola, and all of her friends, all of them, were violently protesting against Jews, which in turn were against her. And she was actually literally scared to go to school until she aligned herself with the Chabad at the school, who kind of protected her, and by us banding together. But it was a really scary experience. And if I'm going to take one thing of October 7th, is that's where she found her Jewish identity. And I wish a lot more Jews would too. Instead, they're turning against their own people, their own land. I remember being in Hebrew school. Listen, you were taught it's not just a religion, it's a land and a people, and it's a very different thing. And like, people don't understand. Okay, you do a 23andMe or Ancestry, you have DNA of being a Jew. There's no DNA of a lot of the other stuff. And it's almost like people just want to jump on the bandwagon. But like, I sit there and scratch my head, what world do we live in that liberals support terrorists?
It's really amazing when you see people who support human rights and civil rights and gay rights, LGBTQ. The largest gay rights parade outside of the West is in Tel Aviv.
Right.
And so other than New York, it's Tel Aviv. And yet, if you tried to march in any of those countries that they now revere, the far left, they'd get thrown off a building, shot, and then thrown off the building. So it's really amazing how you have this coalition of the far left with these radical jihadists, like the most culturally conservative, anti-woman, anti-gay jihadists. It is something that I would never have expected. But
right,
when you think about it, they have a worldview. They share the worldview that Israel is somehow the cause of all evil, where Israel is a colonizer, which, of course, Jews have been in Israel before Islam was a religion. I mean, thousands of years. And you have Israel being called an apartheid state, even though you have 2 million Arabs who live in Israel, have equal rights. They have voting representation, whereas there are no Jews living in Arab countries, very few in Iran, and they don't have equal rights. They don't have the right to vote. In fact, their own Arab citizens don't have the right to vote. Arab citizens have more rights to vote in Israel than they do in Arab countries.
Yeah.
and so you have all this, and supposedly, and actually most of Israel is non-white. So supposedly this non-white colonizing apartheid state, and none of this stuff is true. So all this stuff is based on ignorance. I mean, it's based on total ignorance. And I just wish that people would do a little more research instead of relying on a 20-second TikTok video.
Well, you're so right, because you brought up something earlier that I talk about, and it's basically, there's so many more of the other side and so much more money being put into social media to promote the propaganda against the Jews. And that's what people like. It blows my mind nowadays that nobody substantiates anything. They just read a headline and they take the ball and run with it.
Where's the money coming from? It's coming from China, which owns TikTok. It's coming from Qatar, that spreads a lot of this misinformation. It's not organic. This is an international. It's a funding different disinformation campaign, and it's been successful.
Yeah.
So just it's too bad, but it's something that now we're alerted to it. This has been going on under our noses for years. We've been asleep at the wheel, but no longer. And we're going to have to deal with the consequences. You have an entire generation of young people. A lot of them have been radicalized, and just going to have to fight misinformation with facts.
Yeah. It's so simple too. Facts. Like, it just blows my mind. Like, if you were to interview any of these people on any of these misfactual things, they swear they know what they're talking about, but they can't substantiate any of it. And it's almost like they don't have to. We have somebody right now that tells people stuff, and it doesn't matter what he says, they believe him, whether it's true or not. It's weird.
Yeah. Well, you know what? This is why it's important that you do the show, Dean. It's great to be on with you. I appreciate the chance to talk about it. Normally, I talk about issues, it's legal issues. They don't let me talk about Middle East politics, but I really enjoy it, as you can tell.
Well, yes, and you're very well informed in it, and that's why I had you on, and because you are somebody that could be a champion for all of us because of your belief and your voice. And I thank you for that, because the minute I asked you to be on, there was no hesitation, because it is an important cause. And you know what? Hate is hate. I don't care what it is, it's hate. Why can't we all just love each other, unite, stop letting the powers that be divide us and have us at war with each other, unite and be one race, the human race, and treat people right? It's that simple.
Yeah. Hey, well, you're a good man, brother. And thanks for speaking the truth. And let's do this again sometime.
Let's absolutely do it again. And thank you for all you do. And thank you, because what you do with everything else in your legal career and with the opioids and everything else, you are definitely making Florida a better place.
Thank you, my friend.
Thanks again for being on the Adventures of Pipeman.
All right, partner. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.